Good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, March the 20th. My name is Anne-Marie Band. And this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. So, UBS bought Credit Suisse. The most interesting thing is that alternative Tier 1 capital was wiped out, which is kind of a wonky thing from an accounting perspective. But we have a situation that feels like we ought to be fairly careful in the broad market. So instead of us getting all upset or nervous about what might be happening, let's just follow the state of flow. So let's first take a look at where we are relative to the last two candlesticks. Here is last week's motion in the ES. Here we are today. We're still inside of that motion. We are above the low of the prior month. We are above the close of the prior week. This tells us that we have bullish undercurrents in some sort of stabilizing price action event. The real number to watch in my mind is somewhere between 39.47 and 39.30. Those are going to be those lines in the sand to watch, and that would be the low of the overnight this morning. And so we want to be careful in all ways. Don't have a ton of your capital at risk. And we just trade in small bits, get what we want out of the market, and realize that this is a marathon, not a sprint. And the way we conduct ourselves from a risk perspective is going to help us manage our returns in broad fashion. All right, so what have we had? A push into 39.71 and now a pullback in the space. Where are the traders set up in the pre-market? There's a lot of bearish delta that's come over from last week, but the current market flow from delta is a bit positive. So as the charts open up in the morning, we'll see what's going on. My first thought is we're still caught in a sideways patch. I suspect we're going to have a little bit more instability. And so we really want to be careful. We can't just go out and say, hey, this is a short, because we're above these levels. We also can't go out and say, hey, this is a long, because our trend from a weekly formation clearly shows lower highs on the weekly. And so this tells us that we're still caught in a range. And so we have to trade with that mindset. Now, a lot of us feel like we're at the precipice of another bullish flow because of what the Fed does to backstop. But in the end, the more that the Fed backstops, the worse our currency situation is going to get. And if our currency situation falls off the rails, that's going to be really bad for just about everything, because we hold a tremendous amount of power being the reserve currency of the world. But the more we put into the market, the more cash starts floating around in the market like that. We're going to see the collapse of the dollar, which is actually going to come. But what I think is incredibly important to notice is how much strength crypto, particularly Bitcoin, not the altcoins, Bitcoin as a space where people are moving out of the market and into some other place. Those that are risk-loving, those are risk-fearing, are going to pick up gold. And so gold spot is still running probably 20% higher than what we're seeing in the trading market. So when do we need to worry about upward flow giving us trouble? Hey, listen, if we lose 39.50, expect sellers to come in and try and push us back into these lows. But if we come into this area where the 39.47 is and we continue to hold it, price action is going to push up. Morgan Stanley came out and said, hey, listen, these bank crises that we're seeing, not crises in the real term, but the concern is really telling us that this is the end of our bear market flow and things should turn around. And my suspicion is, well, maybe, but something's going to have to really hit the fan first. And then, we're off to the races. So where are we sitting? The NQ has held the strongest. Why? Because the RTY, Russell, has the most regional banks sitting in the space, and this fear of contagion is really what we are concerned about, because this is a crisis of confidence based on how liquidity works in a leveraged banking system, right? If everybody showed up at the bank and asked for their money all at once, there's no way we could get it to them. We, meaning the banks, I don't even know why I said we, but the system can't get it to them because it's used in other places, making money in different spaces. And so this is why there's so much fear sitting in the space. I tell you what, I don't want to be Fed Powell, not in a million years. No matter what he says, I suspect the market will fade because there's no good answer. There's absolutely no good answer to what's being said. So from the NQ perspective, strongest, cleanest shirt in the dirty laundry, as it were, pulling back into the close of Friday, which is the close of last week, should find some more buyers. This is still in an upward trajectory, but very far away from its moving averages, which makes me say, hey, you want to be a little concerned if it starts losing the close of the prior week. That's very important. It's a space where buyers can point to strength. And if they can't point to that strength, they're going to get nervous. They're going to move out of the market. Levels to watch in the NQ, 12,644.75. Also, the high of the overnight tonight, this weekend, which was 12,750. All right. So pullbacks are buy zones in the general space, but there is a clear line in the sand about where we don't need to move. Just as simple as it gets. All right. For SPY, you can see the SPY lifting off the edges. You know that we are above the close of the prior week. And what we are trying to do is get into and over, we want to get into and over that close. It seems like we're just shy of it. No, we're just over it. There we have it. We're just over it, trying to get into the space. Look at all this noise, folks. We are in a choppy market. Look for sell orders up here. Look for buy orders down here. But I got to tell you, you want to be very patient waiting on the lows to try to buy there. I mean, very, very patient. Bounces or sell zones in this kind of environment right now. Qs going to look a lot like the NQ, holding very nicely and trying to get up over the close of that prior week and holding it, but just barely. I have no idea which way the market's going to go. I tell you, there is a lot of trouble sitting there. Julie, which is a great new trader that I'm working with right now, says that she loves that NQ. Let's take a look at it. You can see that it is much stronger, well above the close in relative terms, well above the close of the prior week. And so this still looks incredibly bearish. Watch the wicks. We've got price action that fades way down into these levels before they're able to pick up. I think we're heading into a very volatile season. Very, very volatile season. A lot more shoes to drop. So stay alert, and I'll see you all tomorrow.